So we're going to just talk about those here tonight. So just take a minute to read those over. And then we'll just start with the first one and talk about different ideas that you guys might have that will kind of help us answer these questions for everybody. So go ahead and take a minute and answer those read those over for a second. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about that for a second. So one of the questions, the first question, how and where can I display the mathematical practices in a way that's visually appealing and can be referred to often? Does anybody have any ideas or do some of you have those up and would you share your ideas with us?
June, were you raising your hand? Oh, you're still muted.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, June, I can't see my full screen. So yeah, if you guys, if I
What?
don't respond to you, just yell out to me.
I mean, I don't have to say anything, but if no one's saying anything, then
Yeah.
I can say something. So
Okay.
I got some posters and I've had them up. I think I had them up last year as well. And I think I just got them off TPT and they were free. Because I liked how they looked and I
Uh-huh.
thought they were visually appealing. And it says MP 1, 2, 3, and that has a little example. And I have them on my wall in my room. And we have a little video that we watched about each standard and talked about how we fit that into our math lesson and what we've been doing and why we do it. And so I try to refer back to them often, and they're just up on my bulletin board in my room.
Nice. I like that you talk about referring to them often because that's what we want to do. We don't want to just have them up, but we want to incorporate them and really use them a lot, use the language from them quite a bit in the room. So that's awesome. Nice. Thank you, June. Anybody else? Or does anybody have a
I'll
question?
share.
What was that? Okay, yeah. Who is? I can't tell who that is. Zilma?
It's Zuma
Yeah,
Franco. Yeah,
yeah,
I'll share.
yeah. Tell us.
Well, I have the standards written up, but I move them. So I don't as we're going through a unit, I'll have the standards or the math practices that we're working on then. And then when we switch, then I'll move them. So I'm constantly changing them.
Oh, nice. So what do you mean when you switch, like you focus on one math
Like
practice at a time?
right. When as we're learning story problems, for example, the
Okay.
one that goes with that math practice will be up. And if
Nice.
we're doing fact families, then I'll switch the poster to show them what math practice we're focusing on there. And then
Oh,
I've got a vocabulary wall, and that's the one that I'm constantly referring to.
oh, cool. And you teach lower grades, is that right? Am I right when I say that?
First grade. Yeah,
So
first grade.
that probably is, just the one at a time is probably really nice for those little guys just to kind of be able to focus on one of those at a time. I like that.
Otherwise, I think it's too busy.
Yeah, too much. Okay. Okay. That's a great idea. Any other ones that you can think of?
I put mine in my standards wall, so they're with my standards.
Okay.
And I
And
teach first and second, so we have student samples up with them.
okay. And so, oh, nice. So you show, like, do you have all the standards up then and you put some student samples with them that kind of correlate?
Yeah, we do. I don't have, so most of the student samples is on my tip chart.
Mm-hmm.
Those are mostly where I have my student samples, but I'm still, we add to our standards chart as we're going along. So I will add, I just talked to April today, so I'm going to add some more student samples to go with. So my standards and my math practices are up together.
Nice. I like the idea of student samples with them too. That's a really great combination.
Yeah, April helped me today come up with
Nice.
that.
Awesome. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, was there anybody that had a question around the mathematical practice other than this one that you want to bring up that we could maybe help answer? Okay, and Angie, help me out with seeing everybody if I'm not seeing them. Let's go ahead and talk about what are some ways to allow them to struggle and trying to find the balance of helping them step it out, but not take away the struggle and learning process. Anybody want to comment on that? June, go ahead, June.
Okay, so I think that asking them questions to help them see that they do know, or to maybe help them find where to start. So I'm always asking them questions. So they ask me a question and I ask them one right back.
Yeah.
So
Which
that they're kind of
sometimes-
struggling. They have to come
Yeah.
up with the answer, but I'm not leaving them they don't feel totally alone because
Yeah.
I'm
Well, and I liked what you said to see what they know, kind of working off what they know is a nice thing as well. But yeah, so they're not feeling alone. They're getting the help, but you're not telling them everything.
Yep.
I like it. Nice. Any other ideas?
So today, then my students were working on a really hard floor puzzle because I like them to think logically and figure things out. And they said, "This is really hard." And I says, "Yeah, good." And they says, "Will you help us?" And I says, "But if I help you, you won't learn as much." And they says, "But it's taking so long." And I says, "Do you have to hurry?" And I let them, we had to go back to other things, but I left it out all day
Yeah.
long. And I says, "You don't have to do it right now." And then every so often when they had a minute, they'd go back. And at the end of the day, they had finished it. And I said, "See, I didn't even need to help you." And they were so proud of themselves because I said,
Yeah.
"Look at you, perseverance. You
I
took
love-
all day, but you did it."
Yeah, I love that. And bringing that mathematical practice in. And I think that's one thing we struggle with is that time aspect, and we want to wrap everything up and have it really pretty and move on to our next thing. And just allowing them that time was huge. I love that. I love that. That's awesome. I think Andy Byington and I were talking about that, just that time aspect and the idea that we worry about, we kind of spoon feed them so much that as they get bigger, they're still wanting all of our help from, just they want us to give them the answers. They're waiting for us to give them the answers, but allowing that time kind of, turns that the opposite. They're getting the time to do what they need, and we don't have to give them the answers. I love that. Nice. Anybody else?
I have one.
Okay.
I've been I teach 7th grade, and so
Uh-huh.
they're kind of totally out of the groove of like having to draw pictures.
Okay.
And so when they're stuck somewhere, rather than just giving them the answer, I'll ask them to draw a picture of what they do know.
Yeah. I love that because they think, at 7th grade, we're too big to draw pictures, but it's so huge to use models and pictures all the time. So that's a great way to put that in. Nice. Okay. I love it. All right, you guys, we're gonna talk a lot more about this in this Zoom session and in the next one to come. So we'll be giving some more ideas on how to allow them to struggle. So that'll be a good thing. The last one, this is the one that I think Jill kind of addressed this a little bit just now, but as always, I feel pressed for time in trying to implement things. How do I get it all in? How can you guys think of some ways to work on that problem? I might quote April here. I was with April when she was coaching. I can't remember who she was coaching, but she was helping with some coaching, and I remember her asking this teacher, we were talking about something that this teacher could implement, and she said to her then, "Now, what would you take out to be able to do that. So sometimes maybe just looking at, if I'm putting this, you know, task in, or this, you know, whatever we do that we feel is a better practice, what is it that we could take out that would help us with that time? That was one thing she suggested. Anybody else have any ideas?
I realize that you're not always going to get everything in that you think you should or you want to. But the thing is as long as you're focusing on that, the children have an understanding of what you are doing and just being focused on that, because we can't do everything. There's never going to be enough time for all the things. And we have to make sure that we're doing the priority, whatever is the most important. If you're going to, like you were saying, take something out, what can you not do that's not important? What
Not
is
as necessary,
what is-
yeah.
yeah, what is important? And just knowing that is, if they're understanding what you're giving them, then the next time it will be that much easier and quicker, and then you can even teach more because they had a deep understanding of what you taught, so you can build on that faster and easier.
Yeah, and I've heard, I know in Building Thinking Classrooms, Peter Lillenjaw talks about this, just that you kind of slow down to speed up. It might take a little bit more time at first, but then they're going to be able to move faster. But I really do like that idea, Jill, about kind of in our mindset. Like we always talk about the kids, about their mindset and changing their, you know, thinking about their mindset. But sometimes maybe in our mindset, we have to say, it's going to be okay. If, you know, we can't get it all in, it's going to be okay. What is it that we really need in? And we'll try to work the other stuff in, but if we don't get it all in, they'll be okay. It's okay. I like that. Okay. Moving on, just a couple of things. This is my old classroom. I went up to my old classroom. My friend now teaches there. This is kind of how I had it set up, and she just kept these up. But each of these is mathematical practice. And I actually have a link to where we got these, and it's a free website. So if you like them, you can use them. And I think she has some geared toward elementary grades and upper grades, so you can check it out in the navigation guide. So one way I kind of put them around one wall, going around. My friend in my classroom next door just had them right above. The only thing I can say for both of us that was a little bit tricky is that we had to kind of put them up higher, and it's a little bit hard to see. It would have been great if we could have had them lower, but we were also trying to do building thinking classrooms, so we used that chunk of wall space for our board space. Okay, okay, so we want to go back and talk a little, or remind you, we are really focusing on the mathematical teaching practices, just like the students focus on the 8 mathematical practices. We're kind of trying to make that shift into fine-tuning our teaching practices. So tonight we are talking about implementing tasks that promote reasoning and problem solving. So we're looking at effective teaching of mathematics engages students in solving and discussing tasks that promote mathematical reasoning and problem solving and allow multiple entry points into varied solution strategies. So those are the things that we're working on. All right. So really quickly, think in your mind, and then if anybody has some ideas, let's just share them out. What are some mathematical behaviors we like to see in our classroom? So if we're looking at our students and thinking about the things that they're doing, what are some of those mathematical behaviors that we want to see?
Carol, we did that today in my classes, the perseverance and like the problem solving and like being able to work through that. So I think definitely problem solving and perseverance is a big one.
Yeah, I think that's that one, the very first. I love that it's first as a mathematical practice, but that's that idea of this is going to be tough. Jill talked about it too. This is going to be tough. We just got to keep at it. And it's especially like when you're just starting out in these rich tasks, it's tricky. It's a little bit hard. So really giving them that idea of, persevere. Do you mind if I share a little bit about what you did, Rachel? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, one of the things when I was in Rachel's classroom, one of the things I really liked about what she did is even before we started into the practice, she talked about norms and she said, now who's responsible for your learning? And really talked about they're the ones that are responsible, which kind of ties in with that perseverance. You got to keep trying when it's hard. And so that was a great start to her class. Because the task was hard. It was really hard for these kids and they really struggled, but she kind of set them up with like, hey, we got to keep trying. And Rachel is always so positive in her classroom, even when they're struggling, she's kind of saying that, that's okay, but keep trying, and did a great job. So yeah, so that perseverance is one we want to see. What are some other ones that you guys might want to think, might want to see or notice in your classroom?
Good discussions with classmates and asking each other and having good conversations and using the math vocabulary words in their conversations. I heard that they were building a geometric structure, and this is the first and second grade, and he says, "I don't think that's structurally sound."
I love it. That is awesome. Yeah, so getting those rich discussions going, using good vocabulary, that's something we want to see. I love that. I love that structurally sound. Great. What else?
I like to see interactions between students as they help each other and they discuss things together.
Yeah. And that's really what we want. We talk about spoon feeding kids all the time, and getting them to turn less to us and more to each other is huge. That helps us with that, backing off from giving them too much information. I like that.
I like my students to be able to like the justify and critique that. So it goes along with, they have to listen to each other. They have to follow each other's reasoning, and they also have to be able to explain it. And
Okay.
so again, how they interact with each other.
So I think that's like that mathematical practice number 3 that you can critique the reasoning of others, right? So they are think about those viable arguments, construct viable arguments, and critique the reasoning of others. So they're having to kind of state their point, listen, like you said, and then come back and think about that reasoning. And does it make sense, or is there something that you want to bring up that might, question their reasoning? I like that.
Yeah, sometimes they don't like to, they always want to show their way,
Mhm.
but to make them like, did you understand this other way? Did this other way work? Is this anyway, so that they can be, more open-minded to see those other patterns and like I said, just listen to each other. So
Yeah.
anyway.
And that's something that is a really that's a really good point to bring up. There was one thing, June, that I was talking to one of Rachel's students today, and there was a little guy that was trying to say something, and she kept saying, but what? And I said, now wait. Listen to what he's saying. Listen to what he's saying. And when she stopped and listened to him, then she could kind of think more about what he was saying. But I think you're right. I think students really are in their own individual mindset, and really teaching them to slow down and listen to others and think about it is huge. I like that. Okay. Any other ideas? All right. So, one thing, Angie, Reese and I were talking about is first thing or one thing that's really important, or that is really helpful with, doing tasks in your classroom, is to set up those positive norms in your classroom. So Rachel did that a bit today as she started. But really talking to them about some of those mindset, ideas, like everyone can learn math. Mistakes are valuable. Questions are important. Math's about creativity. making connections and communicating and learning, not necessarily performing, not necessarily just getting that right answer, but really learning and talking about depth is more than speed. These are from UCubed and Joe Bowler with UCubed. And on the navigation guide, again, I have a link to these positive norms, and she has like a whole lessons set up that you can teach one of these each day. So if if you want to use these to kind of help create that positive norms in your classroom, this is a good resource that you can do that with. Okay. Sorry, I wanted to make one more connection. When we're talking about behaviors in the classroom, we can talk to our students about these and ask them about, maybe challenge them to set some goals. We want you to think, remember that mistakes are okay. Remember to ask questions because they're important, and talk to your kids about maybe setting some behavior goals around these. Other behavior goals that your kids can work on, I mean, they can think about behavior goals set around the mathematical practices. So when you're talking to your kids and getting them ready to work, remind them about the mathematical practices. Maybe challenge them to make some goals, or you set some goals. Today let's really work on perseverance, or let's really attend to precision. Talk about some things that maybe you would want to focus on. I think both Jill and I can't remember who the other one was, but Jill talked about that a little bit. Who else was talking earlier about just putting one mathematical practice on at a time, right? With their first graders? Oh, that was Zulma. Was that you? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's Zuma. Yes.
Zuma. So yeah, just kind of helping them set that focus is a nice idea, and getting them that idea of these are our goals for our mathematical behaviors in our classroom. All right. I want to show you this quickly. These are some look for. So when you're talking to your kids about the mathematical practice and maybe are not sure wording or what things to, not quite sure to how to explain the mathematical practice, these are this is another resource that will help you. And I have that also linked in the navigation guide. Okay. Now we are moving on to our math task for today. So as we complete the math task today, which mathematical practices stand out in the task? So we're going to have about 4 tasks that you can choose from. And these are kind of some guiding questions I want you to think about while you're doing the task. So think about which mathematical practice would you kind of think would stand out and you could focus on. And can you think of some ways that you could talk about them with your students? Okay, so I'm going to show you 4 mathematical tasks, and I'll talk about them really quickly. Think about which one, as we're going through, think about which one sounds great to you. Which one would you want to do? Because after I go through them, I'm going to have you pick which one you want to do, and you guys are going to work on those in breakout rooms together. So just kind of be thinking about which one you would like to do. Okay, this first one is how many squares can you make using the dots on this grid? So you're just looking at making dots or making squares from these dots, okay? This next one is a 3-act task from Graham Fletcher. And it's pretty much about estimating, doing some estimating. It wants to, know about how many Skittles are going to fit in that jar. So that's the next one. Sorry, where's my? This third one is from Open Middle. This is Robert Kaplinski. And this one is just talking about linear and quadratic system. I didn't tell you this from the beginning, but there are links in the navigation guide for each of these. And some of these have, like on Robert Kaplinski, if you look down at the bottom of the screen, it says hint or answer. So these are ones that are on a website that if kids get stuck, they can click on the hint, they can look at the answer. So that's kind of how he sets those up. And this last one is also, this is a great one that I've done before. It's from Robert Kaplinski. This one starts with a video. The link will take you to the lesson plans, but just start with the video and watch it and kind of see what it says. And then it gives more detailed plans if you ever want to use it. But it's about looking at, greatest common factors on this one. Okay. All right. So on all of these tasks have a link in the navigation guide. Let me get back to, I'm trying to go between two screens. So what you're going to do when you go to your breakout rooms is, first of all, you'll decide which task you want to work on. And then you are going to go to the navigation guide, which I'll show you really quickly right here. Angie, am I in the right spot? Angie Reese, just give me a thumbs up.
Yes, you are.
Thank you, thank you. So this, I just want to make sure the screen was showing what I'm thinking it's showing. So right here are the breakout rooms. So you can see each of those four, the breakout rooms right here next to it. So as you're thinking about which one you want to do, those are the links that you can see the problem on. And then you'll go to that breakout room that corresponds to each of those links. Once you get to the breakout room, assign a timekeeper and just take some time, about 5 minutes to solve it individually, to think about it individually. And once you all have had enough time to do that, take about 10 minutes to share that you're thinking and make some connections. Some things you can think about, if after you've gone over the task, if you have some time left over, think about what makes this a rich task and which mathematical practice or practices does it connect to? Okay, so go ahead. We're gonna, the breakout rooms again are at the bottom of our navigation guide. You can tell.
No, Carol,
Oh, sorry. So no, they're not.
Yep.
My bad. You're right. You go to breakout room 1 if you want to do the squares, 2 if you want to do the Skittles or the array bow of colors. 3 is the open middle task with the linear and quadratic system, and 4 is the hot dog and buns task. So we're going to be in breakout rooms until right about 5:45. We talked about in breakout room 1 getting that right answer, and not being able to get that right answer kind of drives us a little crazy, right? Uh-oh, there it is. What do you guys think about that? Anybody? Do you guys hear
Okay.
me?
Yeah, Carol,
Yeah.
I wasn't in your group, but I've been learning Python on my own over the last while through a course. And I've had so much more empathy for my students because sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, why can't I figure this out? I just want to figure this out. Why is this so hard? And why does there have to be more than one way to do it? And all those things they say to me, because we know where we're headed and we know the task a lot of times. It's just
Yeah.
giving me the empathy. It really can be really frustrating.
Yeah.
And so I don't change it. I just acknowledge it more. Just like,
Yeah.
yeah, it is really hard. It can, or I use the word, I have high school, but can be really disconcerting or unnerving to students too when they're used to math being right, wrong. Teacher shows you how.
Yeah.
This, I don't know. You tried try it another way. I'm not sure. That makes them feel really uncomfortable in my classroom anyway. And we just have to learn to be that the whole idea is the struggle. But even just saying that as a teacher, I'm like, oh, but when I'm in the student role, sometimes
Yeah.
I just want to get done.
It-
So
Yeah, we do, but Shelley, I can say for Shelley's class, they did some really cool things just this last little while, and I was able to go in and interview her kids, and it was amazing. They were so excited about what they were able to do. So that struggle was hard at the time, but coming out of that was, just that feeling that we figured this out. And the stuff that she did with them did not have any one right answer. You know, it was real life. And so that, you know, but Shelley, one thing, what a benefit we're giving to them now to feel that now and learn how to deal with it instead of getting out into a job and going, hey, wait, there's not one right answer and I don't know what to do with this. So we do want to teach them that this is how you do it. This is how you solve. So I like that, Shelley. Thank you for sharing.
Well, can I throw in there too, like, if I have someone just show me how to do it, it makes sense, but I then cannot reproduce it later. Like, I
Yeah.
don't have the depth of understanding that I really have to have. And so I'll be honest, like, this has been the first time I'm learning something the way we try to teach, because my math wasn't taught this way. And I'm
Yeah.
guessing most of you weren't either, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I see the value because I understand it so much better when I work it through and figure it out myself than if someone just shows me an example, and I can reproduce it elsewhere so much better if I
Yeah.
had to work it out myself.
Yeah. And
But it's
transfer.
more work.
It is more work and transfer it where we need to and understand. Otherwise, we're getting that idea of our kids are just, here's some numbers and I'm just gonna do whatever I
I'll
think
try
about what-
something with the
Yeah.
numbers I underlined. Yes.
Yeah. I'm just
Yes.
gonna, you know, I might just add them, I might subtract, whatever. I'm just gonna try whatever because I don't know exactly what to do here. So I
Mhm.
think that's really applicable. Okay, so if we talked about our tasks, what were some of the things that made those rich tasks? What did you guys see? I think Shelley kind of touched on them. Not one right answer necessarily, right? With some of them, we could kind of look at different ways to do them or one way to get there. I got to think about the ones I get put on there. There may be, well, I know the Skittles task would be hard to get one right answer because it's estimating, but you know, not always one way to get there. It's a lot of really good tasks, not always one solution. Anybody
Uh,
else?
We did the hot dog one, and I was in there with, I'm a high school teacher, right? And I was in there with fifth grade teachers, and that's what's awesome is when it's rich, you can go low and you can go high.
Yeah,
That low floor, high ceiling.
low floor, high ceiling. That's awesome. That's one of the things we talk about. Low floor, high ceiling, so everybody can get in, but there's room to move up, right? To go as high as we need to. What else do you guys see? We talked about multiple and different ways to solve. What about the constraints? What do you guys think about that? Does that make it a little bit trickier, or what do you guys think?
I think that like having multiple different ways to solve it makes it so you can't just show them the right way and then they copy you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that is a constraint. They have to kind of think of their own way and work through it and have a struggle to be able to get there.
Yeah, that is a good a good thing. Yeah, a good connection there. Some of the other things we talk about is choice. You know, there were some different things. I think with each of the tasks, there were some different choices. It wasn't just one of those steps. And then that uncertainty, the kids that, you know, just not quite knowing what to do, that you know, leads to them really thinking, I don't know if Rachel can hear me. Rachel, are you in here or can you hear me again?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. One of the things, Rachel did a great task today with her kids. But it was a struggle for them. It really was. She was working with fractions, gave them a recipe to not double, but 2.5 times the batch. And, you know, they had that, like, I don't know exactly what to do. That her kids were kind of adding up all the measurements and
Yeah,
that
they kept getting
ambiguity-
like 20.
Yeah, we're like 20 what is this? But that ambiguity, working through that is kind of a, you know, that's not a bad thing. We were talking, Rachel and I talked to Rachel, I said, what do you think? And she was like, oh my goodness. But we kind of came to the conclusion that we didn't come to I don't think, did we ever get to a one answer? We didn't get there today, did we? And,
No,
but it wasn't, I don't think it was time wasted at all. I think it was a really okay thing for them to really feel that, "Ooh, I don't know this," and to work through it. And, it's not perfect right at first. You're not going to throw tasks out there and they're not going to be totally perfect, but that time for those kids to kind of muddle through some things is valuable, I think well spent. What do you guys think? Any comment, any other thoughts on that? Okay, we're gonna kind of move on. I want to make sure we're staying on track today. In our principles to action book, which tied to our teaching practices, again, we're implementing tasks that promote reasoning and problem solving. And then if you look at this here, this is in principles to actions as well. But here are some of the things that the teachers are doing and the students are doing. And I'm just going to give you a minute to kind of look through that and think about these type of things and the tasks that we did and how, how did they match up with what we're seeing here. I'm going to move kind of fast. Does anybody want to make a comment here? Did they match up okay? What we did? Okay. I kind of am looking at our time. We're a little bit behind. I'm going to put a quick plug in for Building Thinking Classrooms. Just so you know, in our regional math center, we are offering, if it'll come up, this right here, a building thinking state. We're doing classes on these. Rachel's been with us a couple times, some other people, but we are doing, if you're interested if you want to, dive in a little bit more with tasks, we are meeting tomorrow, I think, but there's some classes that you could look at and they give you this book for free. If you are interested, just email me. They've already started the class but they can take more, we can take more and you can email me and we can get you going in that if you're interested.
just to second that, Carol, it really is amazing. Like, it's been really fun to read the stuff and talk with people about it. So
Yeah, it is. And I have to say, I've said this a lot of times when I've been in classes myself. This is one book that I think is the most practical that I've read. I think it's a lot of times hard to build these really good to incorporate these really good teaching practices into our classrooms. And this book, I think for me has been the one that's most practical, that makes it the easiest to do. So if you're interested, just you can email myself or Angie Reese and let us know. Okay, just really quickly, we're behind schedule and we've kind of talked about this, but let's talk really quickly about the successes or challenges you've had in your classroom with math tasks and any questions you have, and how do you think about using these? So anybody want to talk about the successes? Anybody want to share some successes you've seen?
I had kind of a fun lesson last week. I teach, well, Carol, you were in my class last week, so you saw
Yeah.
I teach with English this thing called Secret Stories, where the
Oh, yeah.
kids, I teach them little stories that helps them remember parts of spelling and reading. And so we did a math lesson with math words and them using their secret stories to be able to tell what a word was, like triangle, rectangle. And then we had them all up on the board and we were working with them. And then I had them make the shapes with partners. They had to lay down on the ground and actually make the shape. It was really fun. It was
Yeah.
exciting to see both sides, the ELA and the math, that you could put them together and integrate them.
Yeah, really getting that vocabulary in there. That little secret stories is awesome.
It's pretty
Susan
amazing.
showed us, Susan showed us, and Marcy explained a little bit more about, here's what each one meant. And I'm like, that is so cool. Yeah. So
But
I
it was
love
fun
that.
to transfer that over into the math world too. So
Yeah. Connect those. I love it. Nice. Anybody else have some successes or challenges? Any questions you guys have?
I've got both for you.
Okay, great.
I'm in high school and my curriculum has a task at the beginning of each lesson. Some
Mhm.
aren't as rich, and so I need to work on making some of them more rich eventually. But
Yeah.
when they are, it's funny to watch the students be like, I don't want to do this, but then they can't stop themselves from being sucked in when it's facilitated well. And they
Yeah.
learn a lot more than they think they're learning. And then watching them use those strategies and tools and those different ways, like your last slide where it's just accepted and expected that everyone does it a different way.
Uh-huh.
That part, watching that happen is really helpful. And then sometimes they'll borrow from each other, like, oh, that makes way more sense. I like how you drew that or whatever.
Yeah.
The challenge wise, it's still just that ambiguity. I literally got yelled at by a student, like, if you don't know the answer, then why are you giving us this problem? And I was like, because I haven't done it yet. And that's okay. We can do this. And in high school anyway, they're pretty set and know the math teacher is supposed to be the answer key and know everything. And they aren't used to watching somebody work their way through it. And they also are just really uncomfortable with, because by then they've decided, at least ones I have, if they're a math person or not,
Yeah.
even though that's not a true thing. So
No.
they struggle to do anything. And so what I do is I just say, pick up your pencil. And they're like, what do I do first? Pick up your pencil.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? Nope, just pick up your pencil and start doodling and just try
Yeah.
anything. It could be wrong. And that seems to help. But
Good. I like that.
anyway,
I like that. And you know, that challenge of they don't know what to do, they're waiting for you to tell them. I mean, think about the years that they have been told by their teachers, and not that that's bad. That's how we all learned. I did it myself. I mean, I told my kids, this is what we do, you know, step by step. By the time they get to you, Shelley, they've had years of waiting for the teacher to tell them what to do. And that's something that's hard to overcome once you get to high school, but we got to keep pressing through with that. I love it. Nice. Thank you. All right. Angie Reese is going to be so proud of me because I am staying on time. I'm really working hard to do that. So, we'll kind of hit a lot more of this. We're finishing up tonight talking about it. Angie's going to be presenting next month, kind of continuing on this line of thinking. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. I just saw this out of Peter Lillenjal's book and I loved it. He says, problem solving is a messy, nonlinear, and idiosyncratic, if I'm saying that right, process. Students will get stuck. They will think and they will get unstuck. And when they do, they will learn. They will learn about mathematics. They will learn about themselves and they will learn how to think. And I love that. And I've seen that. I mean, you guys have all talked about it. I saw it in Rachel's class today. I've seen it in Shelley's class. Amazing things, but it's so cool once they realize, oh wait, I can do this. And that's kind of our whole focus and goal with these teaching practices, is really shifting that responsibility to them, not us being the keepers of all knowledge. They're the ones that can own that. So, okay. So today we are going to, let me make sure I get everything I need for you guys today so you have a clear picture of what we're doing. Tonight we're going to work again. We're going to pick one of the tasks. There's two down there. The first one is implementing standards for mathematical practice in the classroom. So it's just kind of taking the time to read the resources. So I'm going to go to the navigation guide for a second. And right here in taking action, it just says take time to read over the resources below on how to implement standards for mathematical practice. So a lot of these are really good. This one especially talks about the mathematical practices, tells what they are, shows questions that teachers can ask. talks about what the tasks should be like. So on this task, you would just take the time to kind of look through some of these, think about, kind of just think about what they mean, and how you might use those in your classroom. So it's just kind of taking time to look those over. On task number 2, it's another thing that's going to be kind of the same type of thing, looking through some of the resources that you're provided. Look at some of the math tasks that are in them. Think about how would they connect to our math practices. How can we make sure they're going to be ones that are rich and connect to our math practices, and how could I use those in my classroom? So we just want to be really clear about tonight. You are welcome to go into one of these breakout rooms that's grade level. You're welcome to, if you have a buddy that teaches with you and you go, you know what, we just want to go into a room on our own, use those 6 through 15, and maybe go in one of those where you guys can just talk on your own, or even do individual, kind of whatever works the best for you. It's your time. We want you to use it well. But if you're looking more for, hey, I want some good ideas, I want to talk to other people, pop in those breakout rooms, find those people that you think, you want to talk to get some ideas. If you want the time to just go, I just want to take some time to think and look over this, you can stay here, or you can go into one of those upper breakout rooms to kind of be on your own. Okay. Before we go, does anybody have questions for me? I want to make sure that's clear what we're doing. I saw some great things in some of the breakout rooms. I loved it. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like when you get some chances to talk to each other, some great ideas are shared, and I love seeing that. Okay, so the last thing, we have our resources here, but we wanted to let you know about, we're starting something called Idaho Standards Academy. And this is something that will help you guys really learn your content and really know your content. So we wanted to just put a little plug in our slides about that. So if you are interested, this is in the summer. There are classes up in Idaho Falls at CSI in Idaho Falls for 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade content. And then in June 10th through 13th, and then June 25th through 28th, same ideas at ISU here in Pocatello for grades 3 to 4, 5th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. And we are on this Idaho Standards Academy. We're focusing on working on some of your standards. If you sign up for this, I think it's $50 to sign up. If you can register with other people at your school and your school pays for it, there's a 25% discount. You guys will receive like up to or $500 worth of material. So it's a great way to learn more about your content, get some ideas. Pretty much you'll be walking away with having a unit ready to teach, which would be nice. And then lots of material. So think about this summer if you are interested. I think the QR codes should work. If not, email me or Angie and we'll kind of check that out and get back to you. But that's a great opportunity for you guys to participate in this summer. Okay, so remember, go to the Zoom link to sign up for the next session. Implement your action goals. Complete our collaboration exit ticket. It is on the navigation guide. The link is right here. Here is a link to the Idaho Standards Academy as well. If you are interested, I think it's just the QR codes as well. But if you don't have it in your slides, if you lose it, it's in the navigation guide. Next month, our pre-session will be coming out around the 20th of this month for next month. And we're talking about giving students greater responsibility. Remember to get that pre-session looked at before you come. It just is a lot easier to kind of know where we're at when we're doing the Zoom session the collaboration session. And then our next monthly meeting will be on March 5th at 5 p.m. Don't forget about your stipend requirements and tracking. You can work on that as you go. Does anybody have any questions before we go tonight?